Do the people who work here?
Violence, abduction, even death. Threats facing thousands of women in Britain. Asian women break their silence about oppression and the brutal reality of the culture clash. One, frightened for her life, hides her identity through plastic surgery. That's Victims of Fear on This Week Tomorrow, 8:30 on ITV.
Good evening. Well, there's no escape from the weather for any of us at the moment, what with heavy snow in parts of the north, gales in the south, and icy roads for most parts overnight. So let's start straight away by focusing on the strong winds. And there to the southeast, we have an area of low. Now, that's responsible for the rain, sleet and snow we've been experiencing recently. Behind that, though, there are strong northwesterly winds pushing down the country, running down and pushing cold air into Europe. And in fact, tonight, that translates into weather this way. They'll be moving away the sleet and snow we had today, leaving behind a dry, clear area in the central parts, although that is temporarily, but with snow showers in Northern Ireland, in Scotland and in the north of England as well. Temperature-wise tonight, it is going to be very much colder than recently with a widespread frost, icy roads, so do bear that in mind, and strong winds, especially blowing there off the coast. So it's a very wintry start for March the 1st with sleet and snow showers, especially in Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and the north of England. And even though it might start off quite fine in central and southern areas, very soon the northwesterly winds will push wintry showers eastwards and southwards across the country. Temperature-wise tomorrow, bitterly cold with strong northwesterly onshore winds, so perhaps even more problems for coastal areas. Let's hope things improve. Good night to you.
And here are the Grampian headlines. Good evening. MPs are demanding urgent changes to Scots law to prevent convicted killers from walking free from court. The row has blown up after Lord Dunpark yesterday admonished a Royal Marine who killed his wife and baby son in their Arbroath home. Angus East MP Andrew Welsh is calling on the Scots Secretary to intervene.
I have actually written to the Secretary of State asking him if he'll consider allowing in Scotland the right of the prosecution to ask for a review of sentences. This, at the minute, I believe can happen in England, but not in Scotland. The SNP asked the Secretary of State to look at this some months ago, but he turned it down. But in view of this very strange decision from this judge, I hope that the Secretary of State would reconsider in order to maintain the integrity of the Scottish criminal sentencing policy.
The government appears set to rethink controversial plans to conserve North Sea fish stocks after they failed to win support in Europe. The measures had brought a storm of protest from Scots fishermen, furious that boats would be forced to tie up for several days each month. One of Britain's biggest private cleaning companies has launched a £1.2 million court action against Tayside Regional Council for alleged breach of contract. The move by Initial Contract Services follows the Council's decision last year to axe the firm's school and office cleaning contract after just 2 months. Controversial Scots Labour MP Ron Brown is facing the possibility of deselection from his Edinburgh-Leith constituency. Labour's National Executive Committee has given the local party the go-ahead to reverse an earlier decision to choose Mr Brown. The trial of 6 men accused of attempting to smuggle cannabis into Britain has begun at the High Court in Forfar. They're alleged to have used the Arbroath boat Avail to try and bring in the drug via a North Sea rendezvous. The accused, 3 Scots, 2 Dutchmen and an Englishman, have all denied the charge. Finally, tonight's football results in the Tennent's Scottish Cup 4th round: St Mirren 1, Clydebank 1, Stirling Albion 6, Inverness Calais 2. That's the late news, now the weather. Strong north winds will sweep across Scotland tonight, bringing bands of heavy snow showers, giving some heavy falls of snow over hills in the northwest. Clear spells will develop, leading to icy patches on roads. Thursday will be a bitterly cold and windy day with a mix of blustery snow showers and sunny spells. The showers will be heaviest and most frequent in Highlands and the Northern Isles. The best sunny breaks and fewest showers will be found south of Aberdeen. It will be a very cold day with temperatures only 4 degrees at best, and that's the forecast.
I'm going to get changed.
The coffee's right there.
Cold blend. I'm impressed. I'll get it, shall I? Hello? Good evening. Do you want the lady of the house?
Well,
She's getting changed. Could I offer you a coffee?
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Who was at the door?
Oh, he said he was a neighbour. I told him you were in the bedroom.
And did you tell him who you are?
He didn't ask. Great coffee.
Travel on a moon to the land of Nod. It's sleepy time. Rest your tired old eyes. Go to bed, rise. It's sleepy time. You doze out, feel you wake up there. The Sandman's here. Free from town to city, itty bitty water mitty. It's sleepy time.
In 1952, Rocky Marciano stepped into the ring to become the heavyweight champion of the world.
Marciano!
It was a title he would never lose. For what Rocky lacked in bulk, he more than made up for in power. The Shitroen AX GT has the remarkable power-to-weight ratio of 120 bhp per ton. It can reach 60 miles per hour in 8.8 seconds. What's more, the AX GT can achieve this unleaden performance on unleaded petrol.
Shitroen AX, built like Rocky.
Well, I started racing greyhounds now, and this one's no beginner. He hasn't lost a single race, a dead cert money spinner. That's why I call a hairy hound. Now, I named my dog Gonzales, because he goes at such great speeds. The bookie's cursed, because he's always first, and I'm laughing all the way to the lead. He always leads me to the leads. See, I've got an account called Liquid Gold. That's where my cash is kept. If you want top rates of interest, the Leeds is your best bet, and you can get your paws on it instantly. Then one day he was lured away by a pound of pork and beef. My canine gold mine led astray by some crafty little thief. Not very sporting, is it? Well, I didn't want to lose that dog, because he's my cash supply. Down at the track, he soon came back when Fifi caught his eye.
Liquid Gold pays very generous rates to bigger savers, so laugh all the way to the Leeds.
No colour meant more to Van Gogh than yellow. It always featured in his paintings. It is only one source of inspiration the great artist describes to complete the picture of the man and his work. Part 1 tells Constable's life story, explains his techniques, and beautifully reproduces many of his best-known paintings, and some more surprising ones. Each issue concentrates on a different artist to form a library covering the major periods of art. The great artists will paint the picture for you.
And now it's time for Wednesday evening's reflections, which are presented tonight by Dr. Ramsay Small.
I guess there's a good number of us who might not be here tonight without the help of drugs prescribed for us by our doctors. And maybe others couldn't get through the day without help from neighbours, making meals or doing the shopping. Fitter folk, even the most self-sufficient, are still prepared to accept help when it comes to things like tinkering with the car. And I've known teenagers who make it clear that they could manage fine without the old man's interference, but who condescended to accept his help when they were stuck with their homework. All of us, whatever our age, and no matter how independent we like to be, all of us are prepared to accept help from somebody else at some point. Yet how reluctant we often seem to be to accept God's help in living our lives. I've been reflecting this week on our need for a fresh start in life, and on the importance of doing it God's way if we're going to make a better job of the second chance He's so keen to give us. But we'll never be able to do things His way without His help. Don't let's allow our pride or our stubbornness stop us from asking Him for the help we need. Sleep well.
The newspaper, delivered in time-honored tradition. But imagine a newspaper that's updated 15,000 times a day. Covers topics like dandy gardening tips, holiday information, and the latest weather reports. The ultimate newspaper, brought to you by Oracle.
Snooker fans, don't despair. You can keep up to date with the day's action in Derby with Midweek Sports Special.
Good evening. This is a night that 4 clubs were fighting to reach the quarter-finals of the Tennant Scottish Cup. St Mirren against Clydebank and Stirling Albion versus Inverness Caledonian at Brockville Park in Falkirk. These matches coming up in a moment, but snooker fans haven't been forgotten either. We'll have the action from the 5th round of the British Open Championship from Derby later in tonight's programme. But first tonight, the dates have been announced for Scotland's qualifying games for the 1992 European Championships. The first 2 games are at home. Romania are at Hampden on September the 12th, followed by Switzerland on October the 17th. The first away game is against Bulgaria on November the 14th, with the remaining 5 matches in 1991.